Hello, friends, and welcome back to BookTube with Jenny Luez. I've got a Christmas favorite to share with you today. I just read it for the first time this year, but I know it's going to be one of those books that stays on my bookshelf, that I pull out each Christmas, that I remind everyone around me, my family, of the potential good that we can do in the lives of others during this holiday season. So, A Stranger for Christmas by Lynn Pearson is a 5-star read. Not only that, it's well worth your time, well worth your dime, and it is a very, very slim volume that is absolutely divine. A Stranger for Christmas will, in the end, have you laughing out loud. Do any of you, like me, happen to have a mother with sisters or the closest of friends that when they are together, they are loud and hilarious and keep you in stitches because of just how outrageous they are? Some of the best memories I have are of my parents interacting with their siblings. Now, this book is not between two elderly siblings, but between two friends, two good close friends. I'm going to go ahead and read the inside cover for you just for a moment. It's brief. Hang in there. Stay with me. What if a family, a real one, with children and everything, walked right in the front door here and said, "We'd like to borrow a grandma for Christmas." Let's see. That one over there, the one with the red hair. We'll take her. Two old ladies face a lonely Christmas in a California nursing home. One of them still believes in the goodness of people. Now she intends to prove it with a phone call to her children, and so begins this very special story about love, family, and miracles. As these two women put the true meaning of Christmas to the test, something completely unexpected happens. It may change their lives forever, just as it may change yours. So, A Stranger for Christmas starts out with something that we perhaps all are familiar with. You know, little orphan Annie. The sun will come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow. There'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow till there's none. And I could go on, but you get the point. So it's two old ladies talking about little orphan Annie and saying, wouldn't it be wonderful if that Daddy Warbucks didn't go picking up some orphan Annie, but instead went to an old folks' home and picked up a little old grandma instead? Not that these two old ladies are interested in old men, but they are interested in a family, someone to come and spend time with them. And who could blame them? And so this book puts you in an old folks' home, a nursing home, into that setting, and really helps you to dive into that lifestyle. What is going on in a retirement home, in an old folks' home, in a nursing home? The level of loneliness, the level of routine that becomes so dry that there leaves no room for unexpectedness or happy surprises. And what kind of life is that? And what are the rest of us doing about it? Plenty of people move into those types of homes and are relatively forgotten. People are busy and people just assume that, hey, they're being well taken care of. And so what's my role in that? I don't need to be there. And yet you do. As we value children, we should value our older population too. Now, for me, I've never really had a problem with doing this. In fact, I love my children, but I might even love older people more. It's a toss-up. Okay, maybe not, but maybe. Tell my kids. I joke. Come on. Anywho, I like both children and old people very much, and both for actually very different reasons. With the older population, I value very much their wisdom that comes with age. I value the words that they have to say. For many of them, the things that come out of their mouths, if you actually take the time to dive deep enough, are truly profound. And it's important to not cast people away or push them aside, but to be inclusive with the elderly too, and to make sure that they are not forgotten. And in part, I'm not one to want to push my family into a nursing home. In fact, I want to enlarge my personal home to include them. And while this may seem unadvisable or perhaps not the thing that most people do anymore, there are people you can hire to care for your loved ones where they never have to step foot into a nursing home. And isn't that better? Where they have their own space, perhaps an add on or a tiny house in your yard or some such thing, but they're not so far away as to not be interacted with each day or as much as they wish for you to stop on by and say hi. And they're definitely present and available for nurses to look after, but within their own personal space, family, and home. And isn't that a better thing for everyone? And if that's not possible, well, then by golly, at least do visit your family. Come on now. Don't leave someone all alone, and especially not on Christmas. So it starts out as this little orphan Annie tale of woe and wannabe and why can't this happen to us? It brings about these two friends in this nursing home talking together. And so there's Florence and there's Myrna. Now Florence really seemingly doesn't have a lot of family, but Myrna sure does. They just live in a different state. And now Myrna's in a position where she just isn't fit to travel. And so Florence comes up with this adopt a grandma idea, and they make up a story. So Florence used to be an actress, and Myrna was more of the person of a traditional life where she had had a husband and children and raised them. And so separate lives, yet they find themselves in the same place as roomies. And Florence says, now why couldn't they come in here and adopt a grandma for Christmas? Why couldn't a family do that just once before I die? I would love to have a real family Christmas with a gingerbread house and everything. And Florence goes on to talk about the improbability of it all. Dream on. I mean, I might as well be. Once in a while, those things happen in the movies, but only because some script writer thought it'd make a good story. But not in real life. People are too busy with their own lives to bother with a stranger, especially at Christmas. Christmas is for families, and if you don't belong, you don't belong. And then Myrna replies, well, no. I don't know about that, Florence. I know a lot of good people, wonderful people who aren't too busy to bother with a stranger. And this becomes a dialogue, a back and forth between Florence and Myrna. And Myrna is an optimist. Florence is the opposite. And Myrna says, well, I don't believe it's impossible, Florence. I believe there are lots of people who have room in their hearts and in their homes for a stranger. Florence is just adamant that there's not one. And Myrna says, well, I raised my children right. My children would do it. If I asked them to, my children would. Florence comes up with a cockamamie idea that Myrna should call her children about a stranger living in their area in Idaho, that she needs to just tell them about this woman, have them track her down. Florence suggests that the kids, in order to make their mother happy, need to take in her best friend, a good friend from Idaho. They need to take her in and they need to help her and to be giving and hospitable to a stranger as if she was a stand-in grandma, a stand-in mother, and to take care of her and help her to have a great Christmas, her last Christmas, because goodness knows she's in good health, but her in failing health at the same time, and this could be her very last Christmas, and they just need to take her in. Florence and Myrna together create this story of this stranger that her children must welcome in on behalf of their mom and to treat her like their mom. And that's the gift that they can give their mom this year. And at first, Myrna is reluctant. They're making up the story after all. The stranger is not a real person. This is a completely fictitious tale. She's putting her children on the spot. And at first, it's hard for her to lie and to go along with the story, and hard for her to be testing her children in this way. But as the story continues, this fictitious character that Florence and Myrna thought up almost becomes real and takes on a life of her own. And the story becomes a little bit more elaborate and then pares itself down. And there's some inconsistencies, but the kids all just chalk it up to their mother aging, and it is what it is, but they all do want to help. But then it is true that they all are just a little too busy, and Myrna just becomes increasingly disappointed. Well, Florence is proved right that no one would adopt a stranger, especially an elderly one, to come spend Christmas with their family, because if you don't belong, you don't belong. And so Florence becomes a little smug, although she too is saddened and disappointed because, her dream of one day being adopted, and why can't this be a thing, isn't just, is not going to come true. And so slowly but surely, Myrna just becomes a little bit more desperate. Surely one of her children, surely she raised them right. Surely one of them is going to do the right thing, because, to entertain a stranger, to be kind to the poor, to lift up those that need help. Well, to do that, it's as if you're doing it unto the Lord. And so surely her children are going to remember her lessons from past Christmases, and from the stories that they heard in church, and surely they're going to do the right thing. Well, as the story pours forth and pours out, and as the drama continues to unfold, and all these conflicting emotions are happening between the two elderly women in the nursing home and the children receiving all these phone calls in another state, the elderly women didn't know what they didn't know. And those precious children of Myrna's didn't want to have their first Christmas without their mother. And they were all keeping it a secret that really on Christmas Day, they were going to come and surprise Myrna and whisk her away. So can you imagine the scene when the children burst into the nursing home and come to her room and all say, surprise? Just how shocked that Florence and Myrna would be. And then on top of that, what just had me rolling on the floor, laughing out loud, busting at the seams. The kids had left one of Myrna's sons behind, although his family had traveled with the group, and his kids had traveled with the group to surprise Myrna. One son had booked himself a later flight, not just buying one ticket, but 2 tickets, assuming that he was bound and determined and going to find this friend of his mother's. They managed to track down a woman with the same first name, slightly different last name, but again, chalk that just up to their mother's memory. And they managed to track down a nursing home, not with the same name their mom had given them, but again, a similar name. And so it must be the right facility, must be the right woman. He was driving from his city to another town to retrieve this woman and to fly her into California too, where his mother was currently residing, and to invite this stranger, their mother's friend, to also join them for Christmas. When Florence and Myrna hear this, they are shocked, ecstatic, elated, can't believe it, dumbfounded, but have to also spill the beans and tell them that this stranger, this friend of theirs that they were hoping her kiddos would take in, they had to tell them it was all fake. So her poor children going through the rigmarole of trying to make her mom's Christmas Christmas wish and dreams come true and talk about stress during the holiday season and adding to the busy, and yet they were trying to make it happen for their dear mother, wanting to make sure that her fictitious friend that they thought was real wouldn't be alone for her last Christmas, that her last Christmas could be the best Christmas, and doing the right thing. And so I can only imagine. Now, for me, when I read about Florence and Myrna, I insert my mother and her sister Elaine, and it just makes me laugh all the harder because it's not so far fetched that they, if they were living together, couldn't come up with some sort of plan like that and test their daughter. Test their niece and see if she was raised right, if she knew what to do, if she would do right by them. And I just can't imagine, I can't imagine her children's reactions to being told the truth, and the rolling of the eyes and the oh mother. Right, and having to call off the son that had stayed behind, that no, you don't have to go get anybody else, it's okay, really. That, yeah, that's not the right lady. You're not going to find her because she's not real. And in the end, all is well that ends well. And instead of a stranger, they invite Myrna's roommate, Florence, to be able to also get away for Christmas with them. And they had rented some beachside location and home for a week to all spend together over the Christmas holidays. And there was going to be the gingerbread houses because that was a tradition in Myrna's family. And so everything that Florence had hoped for, dreamed about, wished for after watching Little Orphan Annie did indeed come true. And so, what a great, heartwarming, wonderful ride of emotions that A Stranger for Christmas by Lynn Pearson did bring into my heart, into my life, into my home. And at the end, there is a call to action where we are all challenged to go visit those at the retirement home in your community. Find out if there is somebody that is lonely, that does not receive visitors. Find out if there is somebody that you could adopt for Christmas. Now, I'm not saying you have to take this person into your home, but I am saying that you can go to their room, their home, and you can spend some of your Christmas with them. And, oh my goodness, what a gift. Their life would be forever changed, and so would yours. And it's books like these, such a mess. It's books like these that I can't part with. It's books like these that I would want for my children to find on my bookshelf one day after I've passed away, in hopes that they would crack open the spine, read the message, take it to heart, and implement it. And beyond that, it's a book that I don't want them to just find after I'm gone, not really knowing what it is. I want them to know about this book. I want to implement these types of things into our lives now so it becomes a part of them as they grow and as they have and create families of their own. This is a great book. I'm also reading the Karen Kingsbury Red Glove series of books, and I'm making videos as I go through each one. There's 4 of the Red Glove series, each with another call to action, similar to that of A Stranger for Christmas. And as I go through these books too, I'll share the call to actions with you because it's important that during the holidays, we don't just think of ourselves, but that we do think about and celebrate the lives of others too. We spread the love of Jesus because that's in large part why each of us is here. And through the tears and the laughter, I hope that you cry and laugh too, and that sincerely, I desire for you to pick up this book, to read it, to feel all the feels, and to make you know that you have a purpose beyond yourself. And just like there is like the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program, I would hope someday, not too far off, we could all create something where there is a adopt a grandma program where we can make a point where nobody is forgotten, nobody is left behind, everybody has a place at the table, and everyone does belong somewhere to someone, and nobody has to find themselves alone. I guess that's my grown up Christmas wish. I hope you join me in putting the things we read into action and making a book of fiction our realities. Until next time, friends.